Three big mistakes.
You could take
Anyhow,
that the wrong way.
yeah, you could take it the wrong way. But a special edition here of the Tangent True Crime Podcast. We're taking a look at three big mistakes in the Nancy Guthrie investigation and what that means. And we're looking at it a couple different ways. Number one, mistakes made in the actual investigation. Also, potentially mistakes made by those responsible for the abduction of Nancy Guthrie, because I do not believe this was the perfect crime, and I don't believe this was the perfect investigation. So we'll take a look at those mistakes in this video. Three big ones. Speaking of three big ones, I'm Vinny Politan, lead anchor for Court TV. With me, Albert H. Wunsch the third. It was interesting. I was making the elements, which is like the videos for this, and you have to always give a file a name, right? So I was doing the big mistakes. So I was just numbering them, number one, number two, number three, and I abbreviated. So Al will be bringing us BM number one.
Okay.
So right, Al,
I'm bowel movement number one.
What is your BM?
My BM is this. My beef on this investigation, which was to bring an homage to one of our older shows that we used to do, is that the crime scene was mishandled very early on. So what I see with regards to the way this had been handled is that they did the absolute no-nos of crime scene investigation. One, they removed the crime scene tape too early. Two, they didn't secure the house for a long enough period of time. And three, they had to keep returning to the house to collect additional evidence. So when you rush that type of a situation, okay, you have a definite problem with regards to evidence, and you lose forensic evidence. So those were the three things that stood out to me. And part of that was also the fact that they didn't get in the air quick enough. So they screwed up the crime scene. And as to make matters worse, they have this like division where they can put a plane up and take a look around the area and everything else. And they had to wait over 3 hours before it could get authorization because the only pilot in that sheriff's department had been punished and been put on basic patrol. So they didn't even have a pilot to get the plane up and start looking in the area. 3 hours later, just way too much time. So crime scene was compromised, and their opportunity to get kind of boots in the air was compromised. And that is big mistake numero uno.
So how large of a BM is this?
It's huge. It's absolutely huge because the crime scene, they tell you that usually if a crime is not solved within 24 hours, you lose so much momentum with regards to an investigation, and it becomes much more difficult. So the culmination of evidence in the early onset of this is absolutely primo. It needs to be done. It has to be processed quickly. Anything that's there needs to be preserved. And it wasn't. The crime scene situation there was Keystone Cop. And you've got a sheriff who's got some, problems in and of himself with regards to false statements on his resume and all this other stuff. The fact that he had been drummed out of the police department back in the 80s because of all these infractions that he did. And this guy is running the show. Huge problem. But and that'll be on one of you guys are talking about.
So there's a but for your BM? Is that what you're saying?
But any police investigation will tell you, any guy who knows what they're doing, that the house has to be secured, and it has to be secured for a long period of time, enough time to go through every nook and cranny of that house before it is opened up and then everything is lost. There is nothing more embarrassing, and I represent police officers. I've been talking to them about this investigation because they're fascinated with it, and they kept saying to me, "There's nothing more embarrassing than, oops, we got to go back." I mean,
Right.
that is humiliating to police, and it is an absolute travesty with regards to the victim. Okay, and then when and if a trial ever comes, it's a disaster area.
Yeah. Well,
So
here's what Bob Bianchi is saying. Bob Bianchi, fellow New Jerseyan,
yes,
former.
and went to law school with me, same class.
Look at that. Look at that. I said this from the beginning. Wait, should I say it like Bob? I said this from the beginning, having handled the cases like this. The release of the crime scene within 24 hours told me all I needed to know. It was amateur hour over here. Oh, he doesn't actually speak like that. I'm only kidding. Bob's a good friend.
He was a prosecutor. He was a prosecutor of Morris County, and
I turned him into Dice Clay for a second.
well, yeah, well, he was still the only prosecutor in Jersey history that has done press releases and press conferences using the word "ifin." If the news guys ain't gonna get moving on this, I'm gonna boot you in the ass with a shovel. So it's very important that you get a guy like
now. If I were on his jury, he would win me over immediately.
Exactly. Well, he won them. Yeah, he wins a lot of cases.
I love Bob. He was in Section A of my law school class, and I was in Section C, and mine was because that was my grade point average.
Yeah,
but that's besides the point.
Bob said that you went to his law school. You were in
is that what you're saying now? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. All right, thank you, Bob. Great to hear from you. Folks are already lining things up in the chat, amazingly, on this Saturday. Oh my goodness gracious, Arkansas bestie! Whoa! Thank you, Arkansas bestie. Never get to catch alive my three favorite men, hotties. Keep up all the good work, guys. From our Arkansas. You ever been to Arkansas, Al?
Yes, I actually Don Bosco played in Arkansas. I went for with the football team, and we played in Arkansas. Unbelievable game.
You actually played a game there, or you went to see?
No, I was coaching the football team there.
Okay. Because back in the 80s, you're not traveling to Arkansas to play football.
No. We did not. We did not in the 80s.
One other.
I was in Arkansas. I was in Arkansas for 3 hours. Crossed over the border while I was staying down in the area to go to the dog racing track there.
Oh, nice. Nice. So I was there. There is a really good pizzeria in Arkansas.
Really?
Yes, because there's a little pocket of Finding Nancy. Was the mishandling of the crime scene? Do you believe it's fatal to Finding Nancy?
It is detrimental to Finding. I don't think it's fatal.
Okay.
It's. But the thing is this: in any type of a situation, when you're dealing with a sickly octogenarian, time is of the essence.
Wait, ladies and gentlemen. Every time Al says octogenarian, you have to take a drink. Even it's past noon on the East Coast. There we go.
All right, and little Arkansas chug-a-bug in there. It is absolutely detrimental in time, and it takes away from time, and that is the essence of what needs to be done in these types of situations. Time is so important, and especially when the
FBI and the Pima County Sheriff's Office have no leads, no solid suspects.
What?
And this is from someone boots on the ground that I trust All right. They have no solid leads. I can also report that it has been confirmed this morning, and I'm sure we all assume this, that every family member passed polygraphs with flying colors. So what does this other date have in mind? Probably tells me that there was just some images or some type of electronic evidence that's kind of pushing them to try to dive into that date a little bit more. But that is a conversation
That's huge,
that I
though.
had.
That information is
It
huge.
is.
So then that means, I mean, I know some people don't believe in the polygraphs. I do. But if that's true, then we can move on from the brother-in-law and the sister. And it kind of sheds a little more light on the sheriff's statement to NBC that he's had a theory about this case from the beginning, and nothing has moved him off his theory, and that he does believe he knows the motivation for the crime. And in the interim between that first day and now, where he says his theory hasn't changed, he did say that the family had been ruled out. He then kind of begged off of it because, of course, they don't have anybody in custody. So I'm not sure you can say anybody's been totally ruled out. But that's very interesting. I want to play for you the sheriff's comment to NBC News just days ago on how he's saying, contrary to what you're saying, that he thinks he knows the motive, which would be a lead. But you tell me. Here he is.
There is something that's come out in the investigation that gives you a sense of motive here and why this person did this?
You know, I think it's come out from day one. I think from day one, we had some strong beliefs about what happened, and those beliefs haven't diminished.
Do you believe it was a burglary gone wrong?
I'm not going to get into those theories. We have our beliefs. Everybody else has theirs.
Nano says he's intentionally withholding their theory and other details in the case, citing the integrity of the investigation.
But you're saying, Chad, no leads?
You can have a theory. Let me correct the way he worded it. No suspects. All right. You can have leads without suspects, obviously, and that's what they're doing. That's why they keep going back to these residences and these houses and following up with neighbors over and over again. I agree. They're probably on to some type of theory, but we still don't have a suspect.
This is like
Yeah,
amazing. But if that's true, so are you revising what you were told from no leads to no suspects?
The way he worded it is the FBI has no suspects.
Well, I mean, I guess I'm not shocked to hear that, but like that doesn't bode well in terms of, like when you look back at the Brian Kohlberger case, it took 48 days or something like that to nab him, but they had a suspect for, a good chunk of that last portion there, Jonathan. It wasn't bupkis. Like they'd been working leads. They had found the knife sheath. They knew the car that the suspect had been driving. They were going through meticulously all the records of the white Hyundai Elantras of certain years. It sounds like none of that's happening here. It sounds like, if Chad's right, it sounds like there isn't some special sauce of hot leads they've been pursuing that they're not just sharing with the public and we're days away from getting an arrest. It sounds like it is as cold and unsatisfying as many of us have feared.
Right. And so no suspects does not mean that there's no theories, of course. And, this is criminology. So rarely do we get an evolution in tactics by criminals. So criminals fall into, like everything else, everybody goes to the grocery store at the same time. You put something out online and next thing you know, everybody's wearing that clothing, that article of clothing, or watching that TV show. So criminals are very similar. They develop tactics because these people are not rocket scientists typically. They develop tactics that criminals will gravitate towards. And so there's probably just a handful of possibilities that motivated this individual to go in and do this. And so when you narrow down those possibilities, you can then start looking for specific evidence of what has occurred. And so there's statistics. You can throw that in there and say, this is typically what motivated an individual to do this. This is typically how it was carried out by statistics. And then you add in those other theories and possibilities, and you'll start to get very definitive avenues of investigation. And so that this is the way this is the science behind investigations. And then you'll get, I believe probably one of the reasons why they're asking for information for those dates is because they either talked to some of the neighbors who said, we think this occurred on this day. We may have heard this or saw this. And so they'll go back and they'll look at video footage that people give on those dates to try to discover if there's any other evidence of leads. Again, on the date that you're talking about at the end of January, it was already starting about, I think you said 8 days before. So that would be moving towards a full moon. So it's starting to get brighter, which means, and in Arizona, when it's a full moon at night, which it was on February 1st, it is like a street light on outside. It's pretty bright if the moon is up. And I think you can see the difference in the videos that they show from the night that Nancy was abducted or removed from her house. And you can see the picture that was taken, we believe, somewhere in January, that it's much darker. And so they may be looking to see anybody has video footage if information comes in for those dates, and then be able to enhance that video from that point forward. But
this just in from our friend online, Nerdy Addict, who's had some good scoops in this case, parlaying off of the Brian Enton report that the police are asking residents and neighbors of Nancy about January 24th as a date of interest and possible video that they may have. The Nerdy pointing out that there is footage that drew little attention earlier in this case of somebody, he seems to be like peering through windows and kind of walking around, but he's reporting that this drew little attention as the individual appears to be black, and we do not believe that the suspect on Nancy's porch was black, though to be honest, it's kind of hard to tell. But saying that ring posts from neighbors describe this man, or somebody who looks like this man we're showing now, around 4 a.m. on January 24th, peering through windows and attempting to open doors at their homes. So this video suggesting, Nerdy here is suggesting that this is video from January 24th, that it's somebody peering through windows and attempting to open doors at homes, and that it comes from Ring cameras. It's labeled Ring in the area, but the individual appears to be black, and the guy on the porch,
and not hiding their face, Megan.
Not hiding his face at
individual
all.
is not hiding anything about themselves. There's fingerprints everywhere. So I just don't think I think this is showing you how many people are out there, walking about and looking in people's homes and cars in the middle of the night. It's pretty profound how many people are out there doing this.
Scary.
That's what that tells me. Yeah.
And also the carefulness of law enforcement, whatever, maybe now at least, or the FBI, in trying to go track down every lead. Chad, like they don't think this is the guy. He's black. We think the perp is Hispanic or white, but might as well, right? Like if they have no leads, if they have no suspects, might as well go back to that Mexican restaurant where Savannah and Annie and Nancy had the margaritas and ask, did anybody linger? Did anybody have some sort of an angry fit? I don't know. Like that to me just seems like responsible police work and nothing to get excited about. But what's your take?
Well, I think it leads to the integrity of the investigation, that no stone will go unturned, that we are following up on any type of lead. Listen, go and find out. Hopefully by now they've interviewed this guy that was just on that video. I mean, is it possible that you dot your I's and cross your T's and make sure he wasn't the second person that we are, discussing? There's likely a second person involved. Could it have been him? I agree with what Jim's saying. I do not think he is involved. I also you could see, I was trying to see if we saw any tattoos lurking out the bottom of that sleeve of his, which I, unfortunately wasn't able to see through that video. But I think that, at some point you just got to start over. You got to start over, and we got to start from day one again. And we've got to start going through every piece of information, every tip that's come in, tip by tip. Because is it possible? Look, Megan, you and I look at some of these tips and dismiss them. We slide them over to Jim's desk, and he comes back behind us and looks, and he picks up on something that we missed. That happens all the time. That's called good investigative skills, good police work.
Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.
one of the questions a lot of us have had is about Nancy's demeanor, how she was acting the evening before she went missing. In particular, the Uber drive from her home to her daughter's house. We have Nancy Guthrie being picked up by an Uber driver at 5:32 p.m. She is then taken to Annie and Tommaso's house, where she's dropped off by the Uber driver for what has been referred to as game night. Well, investigators reached out to Uber and got the driver very early on in the investigation. They sat down with the driver. An interview took place. They being law enforcement, they found out everything that was said inside the vehicle because the Uber driver turned over the video. Everything that was taking place inside the vehicle between Nancy Guthrie and the driver, all recorded, all captured on video, and all in the hands of law enforcement. So they have gone through this. Now, as of yet, they have not made this information public yet. Hopefully we'll get that. Not really sure how much we could glean from it, but it would be something. There has been some other really shocking info that headline making. New pictures, new thumbnail of Nancy Guthrie's backyard, side yard, driveway, and pool area. This is a huge break in the case because, as you know, we've been only dealing with the porch camera, that the Nest camera out front. That's really the only video or photos we have of the night. Well, now we have from the FBI and the Sheriff's Department have been able to locate what are referred to as thumbnail captures of pictures of people in and around the backyard, side yard, driveway, and around the pool of Nancy Guthrie's home. They're not releasing these to the public, but they're telling us that they have pictures leading up to the kidnapping time and after the kidnapping, as much as close to, we actually have pictures of law enforcement showing up on the scene about 12:15 the day that Nancy was reported missing. And so we've got that video. We got pictures of that. We have pictures leading up to the crime, but then during the time we believe Nancy Guthrie was kidnapped, talking about 9:45 p.m. till 2:45 a.m. Just take that time. All of that's blocked out. No pictures, no video, no nothing on these thumbnails. That's what we're being told. Not suggesting that they're not being truthful. I'm just saying that they're telling the law enforcement saying, we're not sharing. You're not going to see these because they don't mean anything to the investigation. We'll have to wait and see about that. So those are really the biggest events taking place in the Nancy Guthrie kidnapping case, which means they are still moving forward. Things are happening. One last quick thing. The night of the abduction, the neighbors facing that were like, you have Nancy's backyard, okay, and a home directly behind it that they had in the other home that faces Nancy Guthrie's backyard. Their dog went crazy between 2 and 2:30 in the morning, barking just loud. And this is a dog that doesn't normally bark. It's a very quiet dog. So when the dog at the neighbor's house starts barking, it wakes up the family, it wakes the couple up. And so they begin investigating, looking at their ring cameras, to see, well, what's going on? And what they find is that between 2 and 2:30 in the morning, while their dog is going crazy barking, and by the way, barking towards Nancy Guthrie's house, towards her backyard, the two cameras on this neighbor's house facing the backyard, not connecting with Wi-Fi. The two cameras in the front and side, they're connecting to Wi-Fi, but at the exact same time, the two in the back facing Nancy Guthrie's house, the ones closest to Nancy's property, not connecting to Wi-Fi, so no recording from that time period. Those are the things we're actually keeping up with right now, Nancy.
Straight out to Scott Eicher joining us, digital forensics expert, founding member of the FBI Cellular Analysis Survey team, who has taken an integral role in the search for Nancy Guthrie, now at Precision Cellular Analysis. Scott Eicher, what do you make of it?
Well, Nancy, the video from the Uber driver, which in this case is just from picking her up at the house and taking her over to Annie's house for game night, as you mentioned. It appears that is not going to be really related to the crime itself. Might not get anything great from the videos, but if you think about it, the things you can see is, how was Nancy talking at that point in time? Was she coherent? Was she walking fine? What was she dressed in? The clothes that she had on at the time of going over to Annie's. How is that relevant? Well, if you think later on in the evening, she's dropped back at her house by the family member, we can look for those clothes now because we know what she was wearing that night. Are those clothes still there? Was she still dressed when she was taken? Are those clothes missing, or was she, in a nightgown and in her pajamas for that night? So those would give us clues of were there people there when she arrived, or did they come later to the house?
All right, now Scott, there are thumbnail pictures from Nancy Guthrie's home, the backyard, the pool, side yard area, but nothing from the time period in question. Does the lack of thumbnail pictures from Nancy Guthrie's home, the lack during what they're referring to as the blackout time period, like 1:45 a.m. to 2:30 a.m., does that help or hurt the investigators in terms of creating that timeline? Does it really point out something to them? What does this timeline blackout, of thumbnail pictures mean?
Well, this blackout or timeline of when the cameras didn't record anything, but we got some thumbnails. These are I think, going to be helpful to an extent. We'd always love to have full video, day, night, the whole time frame. That would be great. Obviously, we don't have that. But if we now know where each one of those cameras were pointed, we do get some some thumbnails of different times. It's just the daytime, as I understand from those thumbnails and from what the sheriff's department has told us about what was retrieved. But it does kind of give us a time frame that we only get some thumbnail pictures before the crime and some after the crime. So what happened around the time of the crime? Was there an internet outage, or were the suspects using a Wi-Fi jammer that caused these cameras and the cameras for the neighbors behind Nancy Guthrie and their cameras facing Miss Guthrie's residence? Did that Wi-Fi jammer knock out all those cameras to the point that now we can really narrow in on the time that the suspects were there because we know when the outages went out? That might be helpful. It'd always be better if we had, obviously, a better video and pictures.
Is Nancy Guthrie, a beloved mother and grandmother, alive? What is she suffering right now? Is she hidden away in some basement being fed what? Does she have her meds? Does she dream about her children and going back to her home? Joining us now is a woman who knows the answers firsthand to those type of questions. With us, Cheryl Hunter, kidnapped survivor and author of Use It, Turn Setbacks into Success on Amazon. Use It, Turn Setbacks into Success. You can find her at CherylHunter.com. That's Cheryl with a C. Cheryl, thank you for being with us tonight.
Nancy, it's good to see you again.
I can only imagine what Nancy Guthrie's ordeal has been triggering in your mind.
It has been triggering a lot. One of the things that is most haunting is that there has been no proof of life. And I, like everyone now, am just praying that she is safe, she is alive, and that she will be returned.
Cheryl, for those not familiar with your ordeal, what happened?
I was a teenager traveling overseas with my best friend. I was approached by a man with a camera who said, "Are you a model? I can make you one. Just come with me and my friend over there." And I thought that's not a very prudent thing to do, but I wanted to live in a big city. I was from a very rural horse ranch in the mountains of Colorado. And I thought, aha, this could be my opportunity. Now, obviously, they were not photographers. They had nothing to do with modeling. They were criminals. They held me captive. They abused me in every way. And they eventually let me go. And over the years, Nancy, I've speculated on why. And the best I can come up with is that I humanized myself. Now, none of this happened consciously. I was a teenager at the time, and I started talking about my little brother who was having problems in school, and he was being held back a year. And I said, but he's very smart. He invents things. I think he could really make something of his life, and I hope he doesn't let this discourage him. And I would talk about my grandmother trying to hold my hand in public. And I think what I did was I turned myself out of being an object, which is how a criminal relates to a kidnapping victim. You know, they're an object, they're a means to an end, they're a tool to get what they want. And somehow, in this fit of brilliance that I had in talking about my family, I turned myself back into a human. I can only pray that Nancy Guthrie, if she's alive and able to have any interaction with them, is doing the same.
With us is Cheryl Hunter, kidnapped survivor and author of Use It, Turn Setbacks into Success. Cheryl, in the darkest moments of your ordeal, the darkest moments, how did you keep going? How did you survive?
In the darkest moments, and by that I mean these monsters were torturing me and cutting me, and they were on top of me and assaulting me in every way you could imagine. Now I know I dissociated. I craned my head as far as I could, and on the wall in the room that they had me, there was a little speck of light, and I thought, that light must be coming from something outside, something which is free. And I stared at it with all my might, thinking if I stared hard enough, I could become this. Now, that wasn't something I planned out. I simply could not look at them cutting me, torturing me, raping me. I had to look away. And somehow that dancing spot of light that stayed there all of the days that I was held gave me a sense of freedom. I could just, like this spark of light, fly away anytime I chose.
Cheryl, I have so many questions to ask you, but that story that you just told about that dancing, glittering spark of light on the wall, getting you through the worst moments of your life. Just, I don't know, it's very, very poignant. I think some of what you're saying is you were acting out of instinct, focusing away from what was happening to you on a dancing speck of light, humanizing yourself to your abductors, but you were held for a considerable period of time. Were you fed? Were you allowed to sleep? What happened?
Well, I was not fed, and I passed out. I don't know how else to characterize it. They gave me water. Originally, they had drugged me. They asked me if I wanted wine, and that was drugged. I passed out, and it was much later. I was in a car, and I woke up and saw that we were going up a windy road, and I realized this was not good. My head was hanging out of the front passenger window with my tongue out, kind of like a dog. And over the period of days, I got water a couple of times, but that was it. And I presume that's how they continued to drug me, but I was just out of it entirely. I was laying there at times in water, and I'm sure it was my own urine, but they also tried to drown me. I yes, it was instinct. Those things that I did, humanizing myself and looking away and staring at the light. But I can't say that I thought to do those things. It was not conscious thought at all. It was just a reflexive, instinctive response. I was too young. I had no experience with anything horrific. It was just, as you'd said, an instinct.
Cheryl Hunter, when you have been hearing about Nancy Guthrie and what she's going through, what her family is going through, how has that affected you?
It's very hard to be with. I had initially thought I must turn off the TV and stop watching this. But the truth is that I'm very blessed. I not only overcame the impact of the kidnapping in my life, but I went on to help thousands of other people overcome the impact of the violent crime in their own lives that they had faced. And I thought, it's my duty to pay attention because I do demonstrate that it's possible to go on after trauma. As I've followed Nancy Guthrie's case, one of the things that's become disturbingly sad is that I've read in many comments that people say, my son has been gone for 17 years and I don't know where he went, or my father disappeared and no one can find him. I say that to say that there are many people suffering right now. And what's common in an occurrence like this, where we have experienced something that seems unfathomable and out of our control, is that we feel hopeless. And I've found over the years since my kidnapping that the antidote to hopelessness is action, is inspired action and helping another. So yes, contribute in some way to the different funds and causes that are supporting the family of Nancy Guthrie, or to the beautiful tributes that people are paying to her. But there's also those in our own communities who are suffering and hurting. And whenever we feel hopeless, if we just remember that there's someone else who's hurting and feeling hopeless as well, and what we can control is contributing, being kind, and finding a way to make those people's lives just a little bit brighter. And I want to demonstrate that and lend my voice to this sad, sad state of affairs.
Cheryl Hunter, you survived. That gives people hope that Nancy Guthrie can survive. Yes, I know she's elderly. Yes, I know she has health problems, but she can survive. There is a hope. There is a glimmer of hope that she is yet alive and can be brought home. You did it.
I pray that that's the case. And people say, well, there's been no proof of life, as though that is definitive. Well, there's also been no proof of death. And I'm hanging my hat on that and my hopes on that she is in fact alive, that as crazy as it sounds, somehow she's watching all of these conversations about her, and she's allowing this massive outpouring of love and attention and affection to fortify her. We are really, each of us, far more resilient than we could ever anticipate. And we all have proven it to ourselves in one way or another. We've all dealt with circumstances that we never would have chosen for ourselves. And I know that if Nancy is alive, that Nancy Guthrie can truly overcome, as can her family and her loved ones.
So many people are 6, 8
in it for their own
people up. A veteran FBI agent's manual for behavior prediction. Robin Dreek, it's so great to have you joining us tonight. First of all, based on the status of the investigation right now, what we know right now, clearly no robbery, no burglary, not a random kidnapping. What could possibly be the motive, Robin?
Yeah, so I'm going to remove the ransom notes from this one only because I think the ransom notes is a great attempt of spear phishing because, typically when people are targeting someone to take advantage of them, manipulate them through really nasty black-hatted social engineering, they're taking known information, knowledge, and manipulating it for their own gain. Because if you're going to do a ransom and an abduction, this is exactly not the way to do it. And it's ever been done this way before, because the first thing you always have to do for a ransom is sign of life, proof of life, not given. The other thing that they also do in ransoms is they communicate directly with the family. Because remember, you always got to look at, according to what John Roberts, the first FBI profiler, says, you always have to look for intent. And if the intent is to get money, you have to make it easy to get the money. Whoever is doing these ransom notes through media, which is also never done, made it very, very difficult to get the money because they made it implausible with no sign of life. And so I kind of discounted that from the very beginning.
I agree and disagree with what you just said. I think initially the motive was money, but many legal eagles believe that everything went sideways and the original motive became impossible to achieve. But if it wasn't for ransom money, then what could it have been?
So now we got to look at what's the motive / intent. There's really kind of two schools of thought on this. So let's take for argument's sake that it was targeted. It was targeted for Nancy or her establishment or something there. They wanted something inside that house. They either wanted an object or they wanted Nancy. Some theories out there are that it was targeted towards Nancy through some sort of retribution against either Nancy or Savannah herself. And that even if it was Nancy, that might be a secret that she held of someone that had it in for her. To me, that kind of falls apart a bit because there's always leakage of an individual that is targeting someone that has malicious intent, or there's some sort of stalking, or there's some sort of note. There's something that says it was for that intent. And if it was intent to take Nancy out of that house, because I looked up the research on this too, if it was a targeted abduction in retribution for Nancy, that the intent was to take her out of that house, 3 to 12 minutes is as long as those take on average. This was 41 minutes. And so something went different.
Well, Robin Drake, your former FBI behavioral analyst, and I don't want to throw you in the same pot to stew with online conspiracy theorists, but you're stating that the perp may be someone that had a, quote, relationship with Nancy Guthrie. Take a listen to this.
My theory, my opinion, is that Nancy was abducted by a boyfriend or a friend that is a boy, a man, of her own. Not an obsession with Savannah, not anything to do with anybody else but Nancy. I am not an intuitive. I'm not anything like that. I don't know anything other people don't know. I just want to speak into the universe that my theory is this is about Nancy and her friend or a boyfriend, and maybe he hired somebody, maybe.
That's from Abby and Mom, TikTok, Abby and Mom on TikTok. A boyfriend. Don't you think by now we would know if 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie had a boy toy? I think we would. That said, Robin Drake, let's veer back out of the weeds and into the middle of the road. Robin, you are unconvinced that the perp is someone that Mrs. Guthrie had with whom she had a relationship?
Think about this. If it was for retribution against Nancy in some way, and she was hiding it, because that's what one of the theories is, that she didn't share it with someone. What 84-year-old woman that's close to her family, that has church friends and all these things, isn't going to share with her relatives, friends, and close associates that someone has it in for her, or she got hate mail or something? So that's why that's kind of on the outskirts. But at the same time, more of my theory of that this was a home invasion for robbery, targeted for something inside that house that it took them 41 minutes to find. is it's an outlier because of the type of targeting, 84 years old, but at the same time, though, there's no data that supports the other one, and a little bit more on this one in my mind. But both sides are open, but again, targeted against Nancy for something in that house, whether her or an object or a thing of monetary value.
Okay, Robin Drake, I hate to argue with an FBI behavioral analyst, but that sounds crazy to me. This top secret thing that they wanted out of our house, what? The necklace Savannah gave her 2 Christmases ago? What? It just doesn't make any sense. She's not a special agent. What could possibly be in her home that would justify this? They could easily break in when she's not there. And even if they did or did not find the top secret object you're talking about, if it was for an object, why would they take an 84-year-old that can't walk past 50 yards along with them? That doesn't make any sense. None at all. Okay, let me go with another topic. The suspect's behavior. What do you make of that, Robin Drake?
Yeah, suspect's behavior at the front door, definitely someone that had some reps, as I call them, in doing a home invasion of some sort. They were very fluid with their actions and what they were doing. They're very comfortable with it. And so, again, this kind of supports my theory that someone that was on that front porch had some experience in home invasion before, for whatever purpose that was, for abduction or for getting something inside that house. And so they're comfortable doing it, but not as experienced, obviously, to deal with a Ring camera or a Nest camera because they were trying to cover it with a branch, which also kind of discounts, one of the theories that someone's come out with recently, that maybe they use a Wi-Fi jammer or something, which also has a very limited distance that works in. Because if they had a Wi-Fi jammer on them, they wouldn't have tried to kind of cover up that Nest camera. Also, one of the theories out there that people are floating out was there's a relative or someone close to Nancy or knew the property well. And my theory is that it was someone maybe 1 degree of separation that knew of something in that house, knew of something of value, because there's a lot easier ways to get in that house than that front door, which had a double gate on the front, the side door, the back door, around the pool. There's a lot of other ways to do this than actually going in that front door. That was covered very well.
Robin Drake, behavioral analysis expert and former FBI. What do you make of the porch guy, the perp's behavior on the front porch and how that relates to an internet outage in the neighborhood?
Would he be able to tell that it was still connected to Wi-Fi or just connected to power? Because if he's trying to take down the Wi-Fi in the neighborhood, it's still, again, it's a hard thing to assess on the front step. And here's the other thing that I think is important for people to also take in. You're looking at limited data from the neighbor who said they lost connectivity to their own Ring camera that night at that time. Okay. Have they looked at the pattern of behavior, how often that Ring camera loses connectivity over the course of a day, a week, a month, to see if it actually fit a pattern or if it was an enigma or a blip? So data points are great if you're actually doing them and looking for an arc of behavior between technology as well as human behavior, because if it's a blip, then it's something to pay attention to. If it's just another data point that is completely normal, it might not pan out.
Robin Drake, I hear what you're saying right there. And while you were talking, I was reassessing what you said about the perp going into Nancy Guthrie's home, as retribution against Nancy Guthrie. I still think that's completely bogus. That's crap right there. Forget that. Just mark that off my list of possibilities. But you did say going in for a specific item and that they spent 41 minutes looking for the item. And I took it to mean some secret item nobody else knew about, but actually, you might be right. What if a granny nanny told her son, the black sheep son, that Miss Guthrie has jewelry hidden in a certain spot in her home, or keeps, $10,000 cash taped to the bottom of the bed? I don't know, something like that. An item of value in that home, and it leaked to someone. I can go with you that far, Robin, that they went in for a specific item, but then taking Nancy Guthrie with them, they were in full disguise. So taking Nancy Guthrie with them, she can't walk over 50 yards. She has all sorts of health issues. They should just go in and get it and leave. With that scenario, that's where you lose me. Why would they take her with them if this were not a kidnapping for ransom? And the whole retribution thing as a motive against her for what? She screwed up the knitting circle? No. And retribution against Savannah Guthrie or her husband? This is pretty far-fetched. I'm going to kidnap your mom because you said X during the Today Show, or because your husband worked for fill in the blank, and then never take credit for it and explain why it's retribution. None of that makes any sense to me. It's very fantastical, but everything's on the table tonight. American homeowners, the FBI has been warning about a type of their million.
Because this utility box that shows really it shows a lot of vandalism. But Nancy, this utility box right there, you got to realize this brings in phone, fiber optic cable, which, by the way, that's how many of us use the internet. This box is being tied to possibly an internet outage that was happening in the neighborhood at the time we believe Nancy Guthrie was kidnapped. This utility box is just around the corner from her home, next to the neighbor that the neighbor's home that sees into Nancy Guthrie's backyard. Nancy, we've got a lot going on with this box, and the possibility that internet connectivity was blacked out for a brief period of time the night Nancy Guthrie disappeared.
The video we're showing you right now is from our friends at WCNC, this utility box near Nancy Guthrie's home. Okay, straight out to our guest, an all-star panel, James Bass joining us. James is a digital forensic analyst, expert witness with Evidence Solutions, Inc., there in Tucson. James Bass, thank you for being with us. What do you make of it? Let's take a look at this video again. A utility box pried open and vandalized. At the time Nancy Guthrie goes missing, what would this have to do with the blackout experienced by, we know, two neighbors of Nancy Guthrie's? By the way, this video from our friends at WCNC. What about it, James?
We're not exactly sure that these two could be connected. Looking at the utility box, the way it's set up and the wires that are in it, they appear that they are likely just your regular telephone wires, your telephone infrastructure. That would not affect your Wi-Fi. I would assume this
Put him
most
up, please.
folks now interact.
I want to see the utility box. James, granted, I'm just a trial lawyer. You're the digital expert. How can you look at this tangle of wires and tell me, oh, it's nothing but phone wires? And then, to me, I don't understand how you know that by looking at that it's just phone wires. I mean, doesn't a lot of fiber optics include phone, your cable, your Wi-Fi connection? And again, thanks to WCNC for this, but what do you mean they're just phone wires? I didn't think there even were just phone wires anymore.
Well, the wires are still there, and the infrastructure is still there. It still supports a lot of what we do today. Your fiber optic is just is a fiber optic cable. Your phones would have 3 or 4 pairs that are connected in that junction box. It looks like spaghetti. If you were to have something that interrupted the service, if it were severed at the box, then it would require a work order to be fixed. It would have been an outage that was permanent. It would not have been intermittent. If that were the intent, then you would have to come back and fix it. It would not come back on its own.
Okay, now that is making sense. If the box were vandalized and Wi-Fi cut off, then it would stay off. They couldn't repair the Wi-Fi. Okay, but what about this? Let's see the porch guy, please. Control room. What if the perp go with me on this, not just his face, his whole self, please. What if the perp thought he had disabled it by attacking that utility box? Then he comes up and sees the light on the porch cam blinking or sees some type of activity, a motion sensor movement or something. He's go, oh, H-E-double-L. And then goes to get the foliage to cover it up. He's like, okay, well, that didn't work. Would that make sense, Bass?
Possibly, but if you were going to the extent to attack a utility infrastructure, you would probably know that that was not going to affect how the internet service is delivered.
Well, you know that because you're a digital forensic expert, but not every regular person would know that. They would see that utility box near Nancy Guthrie's home and go, hey, I'll attack that. I'll take out the Wi-Fi. Entirely possible.
That would be possible. Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let's see the video of the porch guy walking up. I want to hone in on what we think is a walkie-talkie or a signal jammer. Okay, take a look at what's in his pocket. Is it just a walkie-talkie and he attempted to take out the utility box? Is the utility box attack the reason investigators are now stating, at least one of them, that they are close to a breakthrough? Straight out to Brian Fitzgibbons joining us. He is the Director of Operations at USPA Nationwide Security. Fitzgibbons leads a team of investigators that go around the world finding and extracting missing people. He is a former Marine and he is an Iraqi war vet. There could be the issue of motive. Is this connected to Guthrie or not? Has this happened in similar neighborhoods? If so, is it just a thug? Is it just like a graffiti artist or somebody that goes around knocking down mailboxes or throwing stones or shooting out street lamps? No real motive except for the pure joy of it.
Yeah, I think Occam's razor tells us that number one, the motive could be to try to find copper wire, or number two, it fits that second category that you just described. That this is just straight up vandalism. I don't believe that this has any connection to Mrs. Guthrie's disappearance for the simple fact that this would not, there's no fiber optic in there. This would have nothing to do with disconnecting a security system.
Fitzgibbons, you know what I think is the strongest argument that this is not connected to Guthrie? What Bass said at the get-go, James Bass. He said that if that caused the outage, it would have remained outed. You'd have to have somebody come and fix it. The perp can't destroy it. And what, he just happens to be a fiber optic repair person? No. So that, I believe, is going to be a dead end unless the perp tried to out it with that and it didn't work and then went to jammers. Now, I'm going to circle back to jammers, but I want to really hit something with Bass. We've heard so much about data dumps, and I remember starting it on day one, a data dump of all the cell phones in and out of the area. That was before Nanos allowed the FBI in. They lost a lot of valuable time, by the way, while Nanos was twiddling his thumbs. The data dump would have showed all cell phone connectivity in the area. It would have shown, for instance, a Uconnect, which is a device already pre-wired in vehicles, newer vehicles that connect you to the car Wi-Fi, iPads that are trying to connect or touch Wi-Fi sources as they go by. It could be a smartwatch. It could be any number of devices that connect via Wi-Fi. But you're saying Google and or Apple could save the day. Now, as you're talking, James Bass, remember, I'm just a trial lawyer. Dummy down for me. Google's already saved the day once by resurrecting from the dead that porch cam. So what can they do for us Google, or Apple?
Most folks don't realize just how much data they create every day, just through a normal course of business, every day of their lives. They're creating data points that they couldn't even comprehend. So once you're able to filter down from the cell phone tower dumps, if you can find a specific suspect address or device, cell phone, you're then going to be able to go back to people like Google or Apple. Google collects more data than Apple does. But for instance, your location points, every minute,
You completely skeeved everyone out when you were talking about how Google, you said in the background, is following you. Well,
yeah.
I'm like, my thought on that is fine. Follow me to Kroger, follow me to Walmart. I'd just be mad if you didn't, but that's me. So you stated that Google, and I guess Apple too, but you mentioned Google, is following you in the background. In other words, you don't really know this is happening. And they can say, oh, she parked her car at Walmart. All right. It's like every 30 seconds, they're updating your location. How's that going to help me?
Well, what it will enable you to do is once you identify this device, you send a search warrant to Google and ask for this information. And anyone can download their information and look at what is being collected. It's free. They'll email it to you and you can review it. But with the location stamps, you'll be able to put an individual or the cell phone generally within a 3 to 10 meter radius, anywhere from 10 to 30 feet to a particular latitude and longitude at a millisecond timestamp. So once you get the device and you get this information, now you see when they're taking their steps, where they've parked their car, where they've gone shopping, how they drive to work and how they drive home. It unlocks an entire history because that data is saved for the life of the account.
Hi, guys. Nancy Grace here. Please join us on Crime Stories and stream it first on Fox 1. When breaking crime news develops, we investigate it and bring it to you. Bombshell updates, answers to unanswered questions from cases making the headlines and cases you may never have heard of until Crime Stories. We go inside investigations with exclusive interviews, crime victims, families seeking justice, investigators, experts, and sources from within the case itself. Stay on top of the nation's biggest trials with us, including gavel-to-gavel coverage with real-time analysis. Crime Stories with Nancy Grace. Stream it first on Fox 1. I hope to see you there, and thank you, friend. If you know or think you know anything about the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, please dial toll-free 800-225-5324. Repeat, 800-225-5324. Or if you wish to remain anonymous, 520-882-7463. 520-882-7463. There is a $1.2+ million reward for information leading to the whereabouts of Nancy Guthrie. $1.2+ million on the table. There does not have to be an arrest, much less a conviction. We remember American hero Sergeant Benjamin Pennington, U.S. Army Space and Missile Defense Command, just 26 killed during the Iranian regime attack. Just 26. American hero Sergeant Benjamin Pennington. I want to thank all of our guests joining us tonight, but a thank you especially to you for being with us as we continue to do our very best to keep the search for Nancy Guthrie alive. Nancy Grace signing off for tonight, but I'll see you tomorrow night. And until then, good night.
we have 1 second. Let's just see. We have some of the we have some of the I don't know, you have me stumped, Gen X. I'm trying to think anything electrical. We could upgrade electrical breakers. We could upgrade for lighting, dim lighting, door, automatic lock on a door that opens and closes. You could need more power to the pool lights. She had like a side house. You could be running cables to other rooms. 1 second, where is my other page? It's not showing. All right, here are some of our let me show you guys here. Here's some of the major known hubs. Let me take some of these off real quick, just so it doesn't confuse everybody here. Here's the cell phone towers in the area from Nancy's house. So why Wi-Fi wasn't good? They could be doing hardwired Wi-Fi, which could be another reason you use electrician. So you're digging, you're trying to get a hard wired electricity. Here is the blue is the cell phone towers. These are all different types of cameras they have. The traffic cameras, they have the OSM traffic cameras. If they went down the I-10, these are all live snapshot cameras that we were trying to actually have somebody be able to go in the past and pull them. But a couple of days ago, they all got erased. Now we have the local gangs in the area. So we have the Arizona Mexican Mafia, the largest Tucson Street Gang Alliance, transport marijuana from the border to Tucson. Probably might not be someone like that, obviously, because there's a lot of money in obviously drugs. But it could be somebody that's, lower in the group, smaller, a guy that might just pack the trucks, might not make as much. Here's the I-19 smuggling corridor, primary drug human trafficking pipeline for the Nogales, POE to Tucson, the Sinaloa, cartel, which is now, or it was the Los Chapitos armed crews, increasingly active. And this route is their main, oops, I don't know why it freezes all the time. 1 second. So this is their main smuggling route over here. In Sierra Vista, you have the secondary smuggling route, known for cartel bounty kidnappings, victim transported across the border, out-of-state gangs, Latin kings, Spanish disciples. Over here, you have 62 miles to the Mexican border, Sinaloa cartel. Again, they're not going to probably mess with the Americans and bring the heat on them. In Phoenix, you have a bunch of different gangs, but this kind of just shows you the different routes on here. The quickest routes to escape with the less cameras for Nancy. You have this red route. You have, I don't know if you guys can see my highlighter. You have orange, green, right here, even by Nancy's house with the Wi-Fi jammer. Here's the Wi-Fi jammer. We can show right here. The Wi-Fi jammer that was supposedly in his pocket. This is the radius on how it would jam. You have a handheld low power that's typically in a briefcase or a vehicle mounted jammer, like the backpack he was wearing. Unfortunately, that failed, but most Wi-Fi cameras in this area would lose reception. Then you have the medium power jammer, which is a high power directional antenna jammer that could blank out an entire area or block. And this is what I'm thinking. So if you zoom in here, if you saw one of the Brian Enton shows, right at the tip of this ring where it says medium power, not all of the Wi-Fi's, not all the cameras were jammed, just one was. Now, again, you're also in Tucson. You're in a really bad reception area for Wi-Fi. She should have underground cabling Wi-Fi, because if you look at, the very mountainous terrain, it's very hard to get cell phone reception in that area. Yep. The gangs. Yeah, I know they just updated some of the gangs. Let me see if they put any new ones in. Let's see. This can get a little bit. Oops. Let me plug my battery. Sorry, I'm just charging my computer. Yeah, the gang, I'm sure there's so many other smuggling routes. And if you think about it too, why isn't Sheriff Nanos telling us, like, why is there one photo? So if Nancy lives up here, if you look at all these traffic cameras, she lives in kind of an area where there might not be as many, but the fact that there's all these Nest cameras, there's Ring cameras, there's buildings in the area, let's try to go to satellite view. So we go to, if you look at all the homes, these are some pretty big homes that have some pretty complex security systems. I know it is dark out and, it's not a well-lit area, but these are some pretty massive homes in the area where the perpetrator would definitely get picked up on a lot more than just the cameras they're showing us. Say if you went this way, I mean, you're hitting a lot of different houses. Depending on your directions, again, you could have a rental car, check rental car places, check other things like that. You can have your license plate covered, stuff like that. But to only get a little quick image of the car, I think is kind of crazy because, if you start looking around here, you have a lot of different things. I don't know if the white key is still prevalent, but, I did show you guys earlier that white Kia that was at the restaurant that JLR went to. Was in the back parking lot to typically where they tell people to park. So the largest Tucson street gang is the Arizona New Mexican Mafia, Barrio Hollywood. They're violent, retribution for non-payment. They're a kind of like a gangster disciple would be like in Chicago. Let me just see 1 second. Let me just see where their territory is. There's the I-19 smuggling route. We talked about that. That stretches all the way down, obviously, in Mexico. Let's see what else they have here. And then you have that's Phoenix. And then I think I already said this. This is the Cochise corridor, secondary smuggling route known for cartel bounty kidnappings. And this is sourced last updated March 2026 from the DEA. So this is kind of the issues that you have in Tucson. But I mean, there's plenty of traffic cameras. Like, so when you go to each one of these traffic cameras, you can pull a live snapshot of those dates. Here's all the mines and shafts, and then we can go to like water washes. So, places where she could have been. Let's see where she's at. So like the Silvercraft Wash is a major watershed boundary, Rodeo Wash, a lot of different washes and watersheds, water features. We could look up storm drains in the area. There's a ton of storm drains. I know they were trying to search there. You probably can't see it when I zoom in, but there's like the Campbell East storm drain. There's just a lot of watersheds and storm drains in the area. When we go through some of the other stuff, let me read through some of the comments. I think people would smoke less weed if it was legal. FAA said they were able to retrieve, not available on the night shifts. Yeah, see, that's crazy. They're not able to retrieve the images. I mean, there's plenty. Look at the video of where the perp is walking up to the port with his head down. Oh, the perp looks like he's stoned a little bit to grab the bushes or stuff like that. He looks a little high in my point. An IT employer. I mean, we could have maids, landscapers, contractors, like Gen X said, electrician, handymans, restaurant worker, church group, an oil change place, tire places, pedophiles, which is a low chance. But, I showed that one guy that lives a mile from her Typically, pedophiles can't get jobs. Friends or relatives. Check Nancy's Facebook. Does Savannah have any enemies? Jewelry store, bank tellers, Uber grocery, Uber drivers, like Instacart drivers, clothing stores. I have utility company, pool company, road workers in the area. You have, home invasions in the area. Let me pull what were the recent home invasions in the area. Let's see here. So you have like rock and quarry pits. I mean, you can this thing has so many different things where it's not exactly anything too earth shattering, but so the cameras in Tucson, you have 34 ADOT cameras, 238 OSM cameras. You have 1,800 storm drains, 551 railroads, 147 cell phone towers, 102 mines. Let's see if there's any been in the last 2 years. Let's go here. Kidnapping. What to know about? It's just been Nancy Guthrie. So this will take me to like a kidnapping page. I'm not sure if you guys can see that. Ted, please pull up the Nest Cam full video for us. Okay, yep. I'll do that. Just give me 1 second, Ted. Can you please pull up the Nest footage? Okay, yep. Just give me 1 second. Yep, hold on 1 second. Nancy Guthrie Nest. One second, I'm just trying to get to the actual video. Well, they're showing an interesting, here, I'll pull the video and then they're showing an interesting, ooh, is that photo weird? God, these are some creepy videos. Wait 1 second. Okay, here is the Nest Cam video. Just give me 1 second while I remove something off the screen. 1 second here. I'll play it just a second. I got to switch screens. Nest Cam footage. Hold on. Okay, you might not be able to see it yet. I think I got to put it on the screen now. And we should be good to go. Do you need me to blow it up? Wait, let me see. That's. He definitely has man jeans on, though. He definitely looks like he's wearing men's jeans. Again, obviously a woman could wear men's jeans. That is a weird light. That is such a small flashlight. Oh, it's buffering. Is that weird? 1 second. Why would that buffer? Hold on. Hey, it's our favorite guest, Dee Dee. What's up? What is up? Okay, I also wanted to show, oops. See what else is everybody saying. Ted, slow it down to 75. Okay, hang on a second. Bear with me. I am let's see, video settings. All right, we'll slow it down to 75. Here we go for Gen X. Hopefully you can see this. Do you want me to, can you guys see the screen? Good. Oops, it's buffering again. Sorry, hold on. Hey. Wait, pause it? Pause it where? Ted, take the Connect off the screen so we can see the whole frame. Take the Connect. Bear with me for 1 second with technology. Wait. What's the Connect? The comments, you mean? Gen X, what do you mean, please? I'm sorry, explain the Connect. I apologize. Take the Connect. Comments? Or make it wider? Let me see if I can take the Connect. I don't know. Let me see if I can make it wider. Ted, I was watching another video and they're thinking that it's a flashlight and it's another person with. Ted, I was watching another video and they are thinking that it's no flashlight, right? So, like, look, did you see my? I mean, again, I probably showed this a million times. I'm not trying to bore anybody, but I showed my flashlight. Here's me. 1 second. Oh, now I can't find my own. Here's me and my flashlight and a side-by-side comparison. Okay, so on the left is me standing in front of my Nest doorbell. You can't even tell it's me, and there's him. Oh, the comment. Okay, good. I was like, God, am I not tech savvy? I'm like, what the heck is the comment or I'm sorry. Did I read it wrong? I'm sorry. I'm like trying to figure out there's something I don't know on the screen. Sorry about that. All right, hold. I'll take it off and I'll put it back on. 1 second. Should we slow it down more? So what are we? Let me see. See, I can't see it now. It's so weird. I have to like zoom in myself. God, look at this freak. What is right there? What is by the doormat right there? What is that little steel structure? Do you guys see that? God, he's just got no care in the world. Like he has zero empathy. Just does not look nervous at all. I mean, I would be like so Tasmanian devilish. I would be like a squirrel. I would be spazzing out, breaking in somebody's home. I mean, I just wouldn't be able to do that. Oh, I did see another video on how they disconnect the Nest. If you guys would like me to play that. See, that light goes on. Wait. This is weird how the light, I don't even know how to rewind it. 1 second. It's like, do you see where the light, hold on. Oh, it's a flashlight in his mouth. There we go. Yeah, you're right. Okay, flashlight in his mouth. Turns it off. Wait a minute. What is in the back there? Hold on. I'm sorry. Wait. I'm trying to see what's in the back there. Probably nothing. He's probably wondering why that light is still on. He's got baggier pants on. Looks down. He's almost looking over at somebody for a second. Wait a minute, like, is somebody talking to him? Watch. Unless he's thinking there's a car or something. See, if you notice here, he's looking down, and then he looks back up. Right there. Like, is there somebody on that side of the house? Like, is someone saying, "What are you doing?" Hey, what are you doing? It's like he was talking to somebody right there, or like somebody was signaling him right there. And let me see what the comments say. Yeah, I have no clue the boxes. Ted, please get back to the boxes there on the front porch. What, those two boxes right there? I just don't know if you guys can see my. Oh, that's a good point, Captain Dinger. That could be a box in the book. That could be an animal. But it does look like he's either communicating someone or yeah, that could be an animal in the bush. Oops. Let's see. So he looks up. But see, he's looking up. But you're right. It could be like a gecko, a wall. Then it jumps right to this, though. It's like, did they crop that out? Why is he? That's a very small light. God, where could you find, like, who would even know to have that small of a light? Like maybe, like electrician or something, someone that does work in like really small areas. Let's watch one more time. Okay, so light goes off. He's got his gun right there. He's checking his gun handle. He holds his gun right there because he's walking up to the glass. So you naturally. Okay, so that does show a little bit of nervousness to me. Not nervousness, but that shows a little bit of awareness, like you're walking up to a door in Arizona. Arizona's a gun state, right? So he's thinking for a second to himself, okay, let me grab my gun for, not like he's going to grab it out, but that's like a human instinct to go for the gun, because if he's walking up from that angle, he's probably walking up to one of the windows, right? Because there's two windows. So he searches there. He looks, he notices the doorbell camera. He's still at that point, he still kind of has his hand near his gun for a second. He's trying to turn the handle, or trying to, I don't know what he's doing there, but I do have a video on how to remove a Nest camera that I want to show that I think Megan Kelly just put out. Yeah, that's what I think too. It's not a doorknob. Car keys or LED keys. Yeah, that's smart. Watch the shadow when he turns around. Yeah, you're right. I don't see boxes. I don't see boxes either. That's a door handle. Okay, yeah. I had no clue I'm sorry. When someone said boxes, I was looking for boxes. I just don't see any boxes. That's a door handle. Okay, let's rewind it one more time. I don't want to get everybody bored. Okay, wait. Oops, how do I get rid of the comment? I'm sorry. Let's go even slower, like you said. I actually like that. Let's see if we can we go slower? What happened to it? Oh, I got to go to, I got to go back to the original post. 1 second. Playback speed. Okay, let's see. Walks up, looks down. That's just it's such a strange, it's like, okay, he's avoiding his face, goes right to his gun because he's got that window right there. So just a normal human being thing to do. You go for your gun because you're walking up to a window. He's looking. Finds the Nest camera. Wait, at this time, does he have his flashlight? Wait a minute. Sorry, wait. No flashlight in his mouth. Okay, so he thinks that the front door gate, because it's gated and it's like, and it has a lot of curves and turns, he may have thrown him off a little bit on what is the security camera, because his first fist is like, what? And then he finds it. There's the doorknob. There's the light that just gets turned on. So now he's got his light on. Right? Or no, wait. His shadow. Ooh, that is a weird shadow, but that could just be. Uses the light again in his mouth. Pulls it up. Then he looks up for a second. Now that could just be a natural look, or he could be looking someone on the side there. But that extra look, like that double look where he looks up, sees the person, but then almost like it's like an acknowledgement look. Goes over here, make sure that's okay. And then what's weird, it jumps right to this. Interesting nonetheless. Yeah, you're right. As soon as the perp comes in, you see the glitch. There's no time. Oh, I'm frozen? Okay, I better take myself out. I don't know why my thing freezes. Yep, the glitch. The glitch is the clue. You are right. They definitely edited it out. It's ridiculous that they actually did that. Now let me show you one other thing. Oh no, where did it go? Where did it go? Okay, I think I can go back from this. Hold on a second. This thing, let's see. Oh, it's only 13-second video. 1 second. I don't even know if this man.
When you need to charge the battery, use the release tool by inserting it in the hole at the top. Make sure you keep the release.
Wait, so you
By
think that's
inserting
what
it in the
he was
hole at
doing
the
with
top.
the?
To charge the battery, use the release tool by inserting it in the hole at the top. Make sure you keep the release tool in a safe place in case you need it. If you misplace it, you can also use a flathead screwdriver. When you need to charge the battery, use the release tool by inserting it in the hole at the top. Make sure you keep the release tool in a safe place in case you need it. If you misplace it, you can also use a flathead screwdriver. When you need to charge
Is
the
that
battery,
what
use the release
he
tool
was
by inserting it
using
in the hole at the top.
for-
Make sure you keep the release tool in a safe place in case you need it. If you misplace it, you can also use a
Is that
flathead
what he was using
screwdriver.
for the branches? Like the branches?
When you need to charge the battery, use the release
It looks
tool by
really
inserting
easy
it
to
in the hole
release
at
it.
the top.
That's crazy.
Make sure you keep the release tool in a safe place in case.
Like right here, like
When you
in
need
that
to
video,
charge
was he using the branches right there and then to
the
unrelease
battery,
it?
use the release tool by inserting it in the hole.
That's weird. To me, that means, oh man, it means like he knows. Yep, exactly. Yep. I've seen the Brian Enton image where it shows like the thing missing and then the window's intact. Okay, I'm just catching up with everybody's chat. That's definitely what he did. Then he used some type of twine or some kind of branch to use it as a release tool, and he knew that. So he has to be some kind of expert in that, because I would never know that you could use a branch to unlock a Nest camera like that. That's pretty impressive. I don't want to give the guy credit or anything. Let's see, back to oops. And then everybody probably seen this from yesterday, right? So this was a little slide we put on the sequence of events. Nancy, January 31st, 5:32, she travels to the local's family's house. She Ubers back. Garage door closes. Doorbell camera disconnects at 1:47 a.m. Again, we don't know because nothing's time-stamped. Footages of the suspects. Someone gave me something showing that you can see at the end of the driveway, you can see a car light. So it could be like a spotter person. Here's all the hundreds of Google searches from all the different dates. Nancy Guthrie's address, Nancy Guthrie's home. Does she live with someone? Nancy Guthrie image of what she looks like was searched a bunch of times starting in January, 32 times. This is the guy that lives about a mile away. I don't think it's him, but I just put it in there. We can disregard him. He's a pedophile. Only theory on that was a pedophile has a hard time getting a job. There's 6 pedophiles within a 2-mile radius of her house. The rest are like guys in their 80s. There's the Kia driving away. Wait, let me show you. So there's the Wi-Fi jammer. Marks on the gravel, which whatever this could be. Looks like almost like a wheelbarrow mark, but could be like a dolly. Could be a car, but I don't know, a tire track of some sort. Yep, an electrical inspector would know for sure. Since this garage was set up to sensor recording for opening and closing, why aren't all the doors set up with the same setting, days, doors, and times? A good question. Pacemaker only connects once a day to save, so it doesn't disconnect at 2:20 a.m. The app reached out to the pacemaker, wasn't there, a nurse said. So the camera system, no, it's not. Well, it's connected. It's not a subscription. So I guess they weren't paying for a subscription. Blood splatter reveals the FBI said likely she was carried out. That's old stuff. This is the Kia I found. So the back parking lot of El Charro, the white Kia, supposedly that was sped away on Google Earth. You can find this. It's in the back parking lot. There's another photo of it from a different view. There it is, just sitting there in the back parking lot. You tell employees to park in the back, obviously. Here's the church, St. Andrew's Church. Here are the people that work at the church. They're all innocent, so don't chase any of them down. I think they were just questioned, because you question people in the church. Well, I haven't done as a lot of work as all the people that were like the boots on the ground really were the guys, but thanks. How can the camera system detect movement if it was disconnected? So that's the FBI, and even Gen X can explain that. The FBI pulled the data. So just because you're not paying for a subscription, it's still running. I think it just runs no matter what, and it's just a feature that once you just give them the money, then they give you the recorded copy of it. Because according to law enforcement, they weren't paying their Nest subscription. So she couldn't have access to that. I don't know how the FBI was able to dig that up, but I wonder if law enforcement found the shrub he pulled and took it as evidence. Yeah, well, you know what? I saw the shrub and all the plants on the ground next to the mat in one of the videos. Let me try to find that one video of Brian Enton. It seems like everything was left there. It was pretty embarrassing, but let me see. I'm sure they took it, but it was just laying there in one of Brian Enton's videos, and Brian Enton was actually like there, and you think it would be removed then. Let me see here. Oh, I guess I got to put in doorbell. Sorry, 1 second. There's just a picture of it. I actually want the video. Why can't I get the video anymore? Let me do Nancy Guthrie. I might not be able to find it, so if I don't, in the next like couple of seconds, I'll chop it. But yeah, I know the video Gen X is talking about. It was good. It shows the blood stain first, and then it shows the other stuff. Let me just remove this. Let me get my face out of the way here. I didn't realize I was like front and center. Yikes. Yeah, if you turn off the electric, then definitely the cameras won't work. Did they arrest Tommaso tonight? I don't know. I'm just going to keep that up as I look for one more thing. I don't even know what time it is. Oh my God, it's only 5 o'clock in the morning. I don't know why it doesn't show it now. Let's see. Hold on, I'm still looking for this important little doorbell footage so you can see it. Okay, so this is the place that Brian Enton had. Hold on. So this is where the one of the jammers worked. Here, let me take this off the screen and show you. I'm sure everybody's seen this, but and then I'll show the doorbell. But this is the one place that the Wi-Fi was disabled at. See if I can get any sound. I don't think so. Let me see. Right here. So the Wi-Fi was jammed here, if you can see this. Nope. Wi-Fi was jammed right here. So there was a camera right here. Brian Enton standing, and he's looking. And there's Nancy Guthrie's house, but the Wi-Fi was jammed. So he's just showing that perspective. There must have been some type of jammer, or the Wi-Fi camera just, those cameras, my Nest camera barely worked, right? So, power could have died. So they could have cut the power off actually because let me see here. Oh, it doesn't find it. So crazy. It's like done finding all the Brian Enton stuff. Let's see, maybe it's under media. Oh, here. Okay, wait. No, they like erased his own media unless he got it from a different page. And you guys like seen this guy roaming around, right? But I doubt this is related. But looks like the same backpack. But I mean, he's not wearing a mask. This could just be
There is new video we are told, is
Harvey
on the
Levine.
FBI's radar in the Nancy Guthrie case.
This guy's so
And it
addicted to
could be
money. I mean,
important.
this guy just sits
But we
online
know
all
it
day. This
is
guy's worth
in
like
play.
$900
This
million,
video
and he
was
still wants
shot
to show himself
at
on camera.
1:52 in the morning
Sorry.
at a home 5 miles from Nancy Guthrie's house. You see a man in the video, both wearing a backpack.
Can someone
and
just
holding
abduct
a
Harvey?
backpack.
No, I'm
The
kidding. I'm kidding.
backpack that he is holding has reflective stripes
That's
similar
mean. I'm sorry.
to the backpack that the kidnapper was wearing at Nancy's door. It's unclear from the video
Oh, Brian did
exactly
apologize
where
and say
those
it was wrong.
reflective
Okay, sorry
stripes
about the
are
wrong info.
located, but they are reflective stripes. And we know and reported yesterday that this is a Walmart backpack.
That's true.
Which is
There's a
fairly
lot of
common.
creepers.
The man appears
Wait, top
to
right is
try
a white
and
car.
open a gate at a residence, and he is unable to do it. So he leaves at 1:53. Now, timing here is critical. When you listen to the
Oh, yeah,
FBI
yeah. They definitely
last
ruled
week,
him out.
they said that Nancy's doorbell was
Oh, he's going for a stretch here. Oh, what's his face? I'm just trying to find the one with. You can't find the Nancy doorbell ring. Hold on, Nancy Nest Cam removed. There's an actual video on it that plays. Is this the video that plays? There's the removal of the Nest Cam, just not the video. 1 second. So we can see how the Nest Cam's gone, and we can see how the window is still intact, but there's an actual live video. So there is the Ring Nest Cam completely removed. The doorbell, the door, you're not breaking that without a breacher. And then this is kind of how an obvious person could tell that, they didn't break in through the glass. Both the sliders are still intact. Thought Enton had a video on it. Okay, just give me 1 second here. Yeah, I know. It isn't a recent video. I went to Brian Enton's page and I can't. Oh, okay. So it might be in his full video. Okay, 1 second. Because I was just trying to. So when I go under Brian. Oh man, let me just see what day it is. It could be more images. It's not that one. It's got to be. It's not that one. Neighbor, no. Nancy Guthrie, victim of elder abuse. Let's see this one. Mysterious internet outage.
Hey guys, thanks so much for checking out my show. Really, really appreciate it.
Just primarily a citation to law enforcement. They know that the body is what ties them.
Sorry, 1 second. Of course, it goes right back to non-Brian Enton. Just bear with me, I promise. Okay, wait, I think we're getting towards it. I just want to see if I thought he just put out a quick video of it. There's the car going by.
It is now Thursday, day 26. Neighbors. Parker reach out to me and.
Wait 1 second. I think we're close to it. I guess it's not here in the video.
There are two people who showed up, one in a pickup truck and one in a Subaru. The sheriff's deputies let them through, and they went to the back of the house. One of the men was holding a briefcase.
Thank you.
And we could see them go to the back of the house, and then we could see with our drone that they went inside the house. I'm not sure why. We don't know who they are. There was no markings on the car. It does not appear that they are law enforcement, but the deputies here obviously knew that they were coming because they let them through and they let them go to the back of the house. So I haven't seen that happen before. I don't know if it's like someone that the family sent over to get something out of the house. That kind of occurred to me. Maybe a private investigator, something like that. I don't know. But it was just something that I haven't seen happen before. And one of them is actually still here at the house right now. So I'll keep an eye on it. Obviously, the big development now has been from the sheriff's office saying that, you know, that there's no DNA matches in court.
What do you guys think about Luke Daly's interview?
Two sheriff vehicles following me. They pulled me over at the Culvers right there. Asked me to get out of the car.
Probably not him. The lazy Ickmel.
And sheriff is.
Oh, it's the drunk guy.
You're talking about Brian. No, fuck that guy, man. He's a fucking cartel fucking drug dealer, man. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
There's criminal network.
I mean, that's where if anybody knows, that's who knows. You know anybody who has any...
Who are you here with? Are you driving?
His dad. No.
Your dad's driving?
I would have said something.
His dad's driving.
I was trying to find the reporter. You're talking about Brian. No, fuck that guy, man. He's a fucking cartel.
Okay, wait,
fucking
sorry.
drug
Let me
dealer,
turn
man.
this off. This guy's
You
an
know what I'm
idiot.
saying? You know what I mean? Right. You know?
I don't think we're going to find it. So I'm sorry. I don't want to keep everyone on a wild goose chase here. Wait, let me put blood on porch. Blood stains. Maybe that'll find it. Yeah, that's really all I got for everybody. Let me see. Am I going to plug it? Oh, thank you. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I actually spoke to Alex the other day or yesterday. Yeah, that dude definitely needs intervention. The FBI uncovered more images of Nancy's cameras according to multiple reports. No, you're right. We don't know who entered the house. That's exactly it. We have no clue. Let me show you one more thing. I thought I just saw something. This is for the family. Oh no, we already seen this. Sorry. Let's see if we fast forward this. No, there's no blood. There's not.
Thanks.
Let me just see. Brian Anton. Yeah, I don't know if it works like this. Guthrie. Front door. closer. This happened a few miles away. I doubt it's related, but someone just walking around. Wait, what car is that? That's a cop car, right? No. Yeah, cop car. This is just a crazy area, you know? A lot of big homes, a lot of thieves. It's interesting. Thank you. Thank you, Tasha. It was very sweet of you. Thank you. The FBI has recovered more images from Nancy Guthrie surveillance camera, according to multiple reports. Look up that title, Brian, and investigate. Okay, wait. FBI recovered more images. Okay, perfect. Thank you. I'm going to look up that title. That's the title I needed. Okay. Oh, wait. I don't know if I'm on this page yet. Wait, hold on. There we go. FBI recovered more images. Okay. I know exactly what you're talking about, Gen X. Bingo.
Hey guys, thanks so much for checking out my show. Really, really appreciate it.
This
Please
should have
click
it. Thank you
subscribe.
for finding it.
Today is day 41 in the search for Nancy Guthrie. That's Nancy Guthrie's house right back here. I am in Tucson, Arizona, continuing to try to dig up new information, stay on top of the case. A couple of big developments today. You know, we've had some
gonna
slow
grab
days,
coffee.
but there's some big things that have come out over the last 24 hours. First of all, new reports about additional images that the FBI has been able to obtain from Nancy Guthrie's surveillance cameras. Remember, we knew they got the images from the front camera because that's how we got the pictures of the suspect. But she had other cameras in the back, on the side of her house, by the pool. And we are now learning that the FBI has been able to obtain some images from those cameras. But there's a catch, and there's some issues there. So I'm going to explain all of that in this episode. But overall, it's good news. Also, just interesting comments from the Pima County Sheriff. I'm thinking more and more about this. He just did another interview where he was asked, do you think the suspect could strike again? And he immediately responded, absolutely, which goes back to my episode yesterday with retired FBI agent Steve Moore, who was saying the same thing. The sheriff is also still saying they believe it's targeted, but that he can't say that 100%. I'm going to get into the latest comments from the sheriff. And then also, I really believe at the end of the day, DNA is what may crack this case. Remember, they've been having issues with the DNA from inside Nancy's house because they say that it's mixed, which means it could be multiple people's DNA in one sample. I actually went to a DNA lab at Arizona State University. It was so interesting. I can't wait for you guys to see this. Showed me actually how the process works. What does it mean if DNA is mixed? How hard is it to sort out? What do they think is going to happen with the Nancy Guthrie case? I mean, these are people who have done this for a living for a long time. And there were some things that they really zeroed in on. The flashlight in the suspect's mouth could be a big deal when it comes to DNA, and they'll explain why. So I'm going to get into all of it in this episode of Brian Enton Investigates. Hey guys. All right. So again, I'm here outside Nancy Guthrie's house, day 41 in the search for Nancy. Today is Friday. It's a really, really hot day here in Tucson, one of the hotter days lately. And apparently next week it's going to get really, really hot, which the people who live here are just like, yeah, it's no surprise. Wait till summer. But I wanted to get into the latest with you. I think perhaps the biggest development right now is this new information coming out about additional images that have been recovered from Nancy Guthrie's surveillance cameras, which is a pretty big deal. You know, we knew that Nancy had other cameras.
Let's see this one. Hold on.
Hey guys, thanks so much.
This
Look
is
at
a
Nancy
good one
Guthrie's
with
house.
Jim Clemente, if anybody ever
Hey
watched
guys,
it.
thanks so much for
That's
checking out my
actually
show. Really, really appreciate it. Please click to subscribe.
Hey guys, thanks so
Appreciate
much for
all your
checking.
support. It is
Specific
now day
reasons that they just wanted
36
to target
in the
her and
search for
only
Nancy
her.
Guthrie.
Like they,
Hey guys, thanks so much.
That makes it
I'm not sure if I can find it. I don't waste everybody's time this morning.
May have got.
Let's see what's in his pocket. I wonder if this.
Hey guys, thanks so much for checking out my show. I really, really appreciate it. Please click to
Can you hear
subscribe.
people talking?
It is now day 28 in the search for Nancy Guthrie. This is Nancy Guthrie's house right behind me. It's really weird. Today is Saturday, but there's no one out here today. I mean, there's one other person out here, but none of the other media is out here. I know there's still some media in town, but it's kind of interesting. I've never been outside
Okay,
the
sorry.
house
Yeah, I don't want to waste everybody's
and really
time.
just been the only one.
Hope everyone had a good time. We'll be back on. Hopefully, we have some more information. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful Tuesday, and we'll be on later tonight. Okay. You chat. All right, peace out, everybody.